Okay, I want you to think back to the early 2000s for a second. Dancehall was, well, it was everywhere. It was the sound blasting out of every car, dominating the clubs, and topping global charts. It was, without a doubt, the beat that ruled the world. And then, kind of suddenly, it wasn't. The crown slipped and that global beat just faded from the spotlight. So what on earth happened?
And look, this wasn't some high-level industry shift nobody noticed. The fans felt it, deeply. This comment from a Reddit thread just nails that feeling, right? That sense of disappointment that the creative soul of the genre was getting lost in a chase for commercial hits.
So that's the big question we're diving into here. We're going to look at why dancehall's reign seemed to end, how it evolved through some pretty tough years, and then we're going to unpack a massive, game-changing event that might just be kicking off a whole new golden age.
To really get the decline, you have to remember the peak. And I mean the absolute peak. We're talking Sean Paul being #1 in basically every country on the planet, Elephant Man on MTV every 5 minutes. Dancehall wasn't just another genre, it was a full-on cultural tidal wave. But, as we'd find out, there were some serious problems bubbling just under the surface.
For the fans, the shift was huge. That old school energy, the vibe that was all about community, dancing, and just having a good time, it started to give way to something else. The topics got darker, more about guns and scams. That amazing art of rhythm juggling, where a bunch of artists would hop on the same beat and create this incredible shared energy, that pretty much vanished. And the sound itself, it started to feel a little diluted, borrowing so much from other genres that a lot of people felt it was losing its unique Jamaican identity. And right in the middle of this identity crisis, the genre's most dominant, most controversial figure, the self-proclaimed world boss, Vybz Kartel, was suddenly taken right off the board. And that created a power vacuum you just can't overstate.
I mean, Kartel's story is a whole movie in itself. He explodes onto the scene, drops an absolute classic crossover hit with Clarks, and then, bam! In 2011, he's arrested. His life sentence in 2014 meant that for more than a decade, dancehall's biggest star was literally ruling his empire from behind bars, leaving this massive creative and leadership hole that nobody really knew how to fill.
And this quote from The Fader, which came out right after the sentencing, it just perfectly sums up the mood. The genre wasn't just missing its king, it was completely lost, at a total crossroads. It had to adapt, it had to evolve, it had to find a new path forward.
And, music always finds a way. It did evolve. With no single leader, dancehall started to change in two really fundamental ways. First, in how it sounded, and second, in how the artists actually ran their careers as a business. So you kind of saw two major lanes open up, really personified by two key artists. On one hand, you had Popcaan, who was actually Kartel's protege. He leaned into the smoother, more melodic, crossover-friendly vibe, blending dancehall with R&B and hip-hop. And on the other hand, you had an artist like Skillibeng, who really pushed what people started calling trap dancehall, a harder, grittier sound that he argues is just the genre's natural next step for a new generation. But here's the thing, it wasn't just the music that changed. The business side of things had a serious glow-up. Gone were the old days of chaotic management, where an artist might publicly drag their own team for messing up their career. Instead, artists like Spice and Shinsia started building professional teams. We're talking proper PR, management, agents, and strategically packaging themselves for massive international markets, landing huge looks on shows like VH1's Love and Hip Hop.
So, okay, dancehall is adapting. New sounds are popping up. The business is getting way smarter. Things are moving in a new direction. But then, something happens. Something nobody saw coming. A seismic shift that changes the entire game overnight.
The entire story pivots on this one single date, March 2025. This is when a piece of news drops that sent absolute shockwaves through the entire music industry.
Boom! After more than a decade of being effectively locked out, a whole wave of dancehall's founding legends, we're talking Beanie Man, Buju Banton, Sizzla, Bounty Killer, and yes, a newly freed Vybz Kartel, all have their US visas reinstated. Just like that, the biggest names in the genre get full access to the world's largest and richest music market.
In the immediate impact of this return, well, you can pretty much sum it up with a single, jaw-dropping number: 15,000.
Yep, that number, 15,000. That's the capacity of the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Vybz Kartel sold it out, not once, but twice, in less than 24 hours. This wasn't just a comeback tour, it was a commercial explosion. It was definitive proof that the American audience was absolutely starving for these artists.
And trust me, the people in the know, they understood exactly how huge this was. As the legendary producer Scott Burrell put it, the possibilities for growth in the industry are endless right now. This was never just about a few artists finally getting a payday. It was about the entire genre getting its wings back.
So that all brings us to today, and to the future. With the Founding Fathers back on the world stage and a whole new generation ready to innovate, what does dancehall's next chapter even look like? Could we be on the verge of a new golden age?
I mean, just look at this breakdown. The difference is night and day. The lost decade was all about limits, limited US access, playing small clubs, stagnant money, and very few big collabs. But the future? We're talking unrestricted access, sold-out arenas, massive growth potential, and a real chance to get back to major mainstream crossover success.
So that's really the ultimate question, isn't it? You've got the raw energy and the legendary status of the old guard back in the game, and you've got the fresh sounds and the business smarts of the new school. All the pieces are finally on the board. After all those years in the wilderness, is dancehall finally ready to reclaim its global throne?